Adam Kane, welcome to the First Light podcast, and thanks for being our very first guest on the show.
Absolute pleasure. Thanks, James. Very excited to be here.
Adam, can we start by, if you can just tell us a little bit about yourself, please?
So I'm Adam Kane of Adam Kane Architects. We're a Melbourne-based practice that's been established for 10 years, and we do work throughout Victoria, Australia, and internationally, predominantly on single residential projects.
Fantastic, mate. When did you first know that you wanted to start your very own practice?
Always. I've always had that ambition and desire, and from uni days, from when I really fell in love with architecture, and I wanted to, before starting my own practice, just make sure I had a good grounding and understanding and experience of working through other practices. So I worked for 10 years and then started Adam Kane Architects.
What was the moment, mate? What was the moment you went, this is it, this is the time? It's a big deal, right?
Yep. So like a lot of architects, architects who are perhaps interested in starting their own practice, I was doing a bit of private work on weekends outside of kind of the traditional 9 to 5. And it got to a point where I simply asked myself, are those private clients being compromised perhaps by the 9 to 5? And as soon as I asked myself that and realised the answer was yes, I quit the next day and opened the doors.
Nervous, right? Big thing.
It is, but I'm pretty cautious a person, so it's exciting. It's nerve-wracking. It's part of the gig.
Yeah. So. Timing wise, looking back, do you think you should have done it sooner, or are you happy with?
I don't think I should have. I could have, but again, like is what it is. And great, I could have saved a couple of years, but I'm sure that couple of years might have been some good experience and knowledge and learning that I wouldn't have gotten through other, working with others. So, no regrets.
Yeah, good. What was the biggest fear, mate?
Fear of failure.
Yeah,
I think with particularly working that 10 years, I knew if I was starting my own practice, I wanted to do it once and do it right, and not do it and then it falls over a year later or 3 years later. So for whatever reason, a list as long as your arm from failure perspective it could be. So just being cautious, being considered, and as much as possible, and then just committing.
Yeah. So it was a mixture of a creative choice, or you really just wanted to do your own thing. You had that from day one. You wanted to someday do your own thing.
It's the creativity that I wanted to. I think having that full freedom of creativity, and then the resultant kind of pride in the work, by being able to have full control over something, you have the full pride. You only do one element, you can only, I feel, be proud of that one element, and you're doing someone else's work for the rest. So I think by having that full creativity and being able to do a whole raft of projects and having an amazing team that supports each other. On my own, I could do one thing at a time or two, but having a huge team, you can do 10 amazing things at a time.
Yeah.
So just being able to do as much creativity as possible is so enjoyable and rewarding.
No, for sure. Your brand is very distinct. How conscious were you making it such a distinct brand? Of you building that?
Not at all. So I suppose it came from an early days of day one. You take on kind of the projects, whatever you can. So a little bathroom reno, a little this, a little that. And then over time you get to do more projects which are aligned. I wasn't fortunate enough to have like a $10 million job day one or whatever it may be. So starting with a bit of a mix of projects and clients who have different aesthetics, and early days you kind of take on what you can get, and then just over the years being able to refine and push slowly my own aesthetic. And so really it's just been a long process of slowly but surely just doing things that I like. So there's no end goal of I need to in 10 years get this particular aesthetic going. It's just what I feel like and how that evolves, and being able to slowly have that refinement and holistic approach and consistency on projects. And we're at that point now, which we probably reached a few years ago, where all of our projects have that alignment, and clients come to us for that that reason, and that's why we're proud of every job, and we're not simply taking on projects for the sake of paying the bills. It's but no end goal of this needs to be this particular branding or style or aesthetic. It's just, as I can, there's more and more freedom and ability to just do what we feel is a great design.
Yep. Is it now? It's easy because you've got not easy, but you've got clients coming to you because they want that look and feel. I guess, was that harder at the start? Because
hugely.
Yeah.
So I think by having, if we would have a more generalized aesthetic or something a bit broader or something a bit more diverse, it's, we can do a bit of this, do a bit of that, and whatever you want, client, we can do. By having a specific aesthetic, still different ways of enacting that and creating that design with that's still that alignment, but a client will come to us for our particular aesthetic, which means we had that huge alignment from day one. It's not trying to understand a style that we don't like or that they don't like or whatever it may be. We're all on the same page from the start. It's then learning from them what they personally like a little bit more of. Do they like something a little bit darker or lighter or warmer or a bit more textured, so that we can then personalize that home specifically for them.
How does that... sometimes that conversation might be, with 90% of the project is going to be your style, and then they really, really got their heart set on this room that they must have this design because they've seen it somewhere. They really, how do you gently say, well, it doesn't work, or we can, but it's not going to be?
That doesn't happen that often these days, and I think that comes down to a lot of day one before we put any pen to paper. It's getting to know what they like and how that, their functional requirements, their aesthetic desires, and by understanding the client from day one before we design, it means the design can respond to them. So we've already understood that they want this specific room for that reason, and then we can tailor the design to them rather than them say, I want this specific. We want to know their problem. We don't want them to come up with a solution. So if they want particular requirement, we'll find out a way of incorporating it, making it look, holistically, beautiful and incorporated with the design. So it's just about communication, understanding the clients.
Sure. Was there a moment that clicked for you, mate? Okay, people get it now. Was it like maybe 6 years in, you went, finally, it's just that turning point of...
Not really.
No?
I think, no, there wasn't a light bulb kind of...
No.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
maybe not. Maybe it's not even there yet.
Yeah, sure. I mean, your following is phenomenal on Insta and the socials. You do that yourself, and you're quite personal on there.
Yeah, so it's me curating, I suppose, is a fancy way of just saying it. I'm posting what I like and what I've got time to think about. But again, there's no huge. It's trying to wear a whole lot of hats, so there's no huge business plan, there's no huge marketing plan. It's just or design agenda or planning of we need to get to this aesthetic by this date. It's Instagram is just me posting what we like and what kind of works and vibing it, and it seems to work. And it's a great way of just showcasing our product and getting our work out to a new audience, existing audience, and attracting those new clients.
Yeah, lovely, mate.
So it's just a great portfolio tool, really.
Absolutely. Yeah, people who haven't seen your work, how would you describe your design philosophy?
So I think restraint and refinement is probably key. We want a timeless home, something that's feeling calm and comfortable and functional and beautifully holistically resolved. Everything has its own purpose and rationale, and every design decision has it's a reason for it. So I suppose it's not a loud design. It's very much that restraint and balance throughout the space, and having that breathing space, and something that just again feels restrained in materiality, perfectly detailed and considered, and just feels comfortable for each client, and not too shouty or something that may date within a month. So it's really kind of those forever homes, and something that doesn't need to be too fashionable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But then also every design we're trying to do a bit unique as well. So not just rinse and repeat.
Sure.
Which is, again, half the fun. What's the point of rinse and repeating when you can create something amazing each time?
Yeah. What do you think sets you apart from some of the other architects out there with what you do?
I think so. Trying to, like, niche is an interesting word, but I suppose there's one end of the spectrum, maybe quite a gentrified aesthetic, and the majority of designers may be more gentrified, and by having something a little bit more unique and individual, it's we're certainly targeting a smaller audience, but and competing against less aligned designers, let's say, from locally and internationally. So it's all just about I think for us having that tighter aesthetic and direction is what's working for us and what we enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
So you do what you enjoy, and you have a good time, and yeah.
Talking about international and the reach of Instagram, you've recently done a project in New York.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome. It's not an easy thing to do, I'd imagine. But how did that come about?
So the clients, they're both New York based. They're nothing to do with us. They're not Australian. They were looking for an architect locally, obviously, to start with, and they couldn't find anyone with their aesthetic. So they perhaps wanted something a bit more of an international style. And then they just reached out to us, and we started the design, and has started construction now, which is exciting. There's a few hurdles along the way with local regulations and things. So, but exciting new build, vacant block of land, 7-story new house. So, really exciting. It's the first international project, and that no doubt's followed on to. We've got a few more international ones since then. So it's exciting times for us.
Wow, that's really good. Really, really good. I'm excited to see that one come alive. I've seen the renders. Looks amazing. So, yeah, fantastic. The process, especially doing that internationally, is, obviously, Zooms and all that sort of stuff. Will you go and visit and things like that?
Yeah, definitely.
Still, yeah.
So I've only met them a couple of times, and not even in America or Australia, which is interesting. But I think since COVID, it's been realised how possible it is to do things that aren't in person. So Zoom and Teams or whatever it may be is you can do so much through these platforms now that it just anything's kind of possible, and really will be on site now that it's building for those key decisions and detailing. So we'll do a few visits throughout the build, and very, very exciting times. So.
Exciting, mate. Yeah, watch your space. Talking about clicks and socials, your Grey House is probably one of the ones that stands out as something that's most clicked and getting lots and lots of awards. And no secret, that's your own home. Tell us a little bit about that, and maybe being your own client essentially. What sort of was it hard to be your own client and challenge yourself?
I don't think so. Like there's a little bit of, well, I've got I got to kind of make this perfect, but didn't feel like to be a huge amount of pressure on that, because I'm sure there'll be more in the future. But it was very exciting, more so that it was an opportunity to just have that free reign and not. I suppose some of our detail, or some details in general, could be a bit risky or a bit out there, let's say. So it was an opportunity to go crazy and say, why not try this? But I guess first and foremost, I wanted to make sure that the house wasn't simply a best of collection of all of the last details, last 10 years. It wasn't just a copy paste. It was something which we could push the boundaries of what we'd be proposing for a client. I didn't do a watered down version of what we do to a client. It was really an opportunity to explore new ideas, It's obviously quite a strong concept for every single wall and door and joinery ceiling to be in the one colour, the one material. So it was committing to that and then ensuring that there was still a softness achieved through it. So whilst it is a strong form, a strong materiality, there's an amazing calm and softness throughout the space with the mottling of the polished plaster and the reflectivity. Every outlook is onto this beautiful verdant garden that changes throughout the season. So it was a lot of fun to be able to create that experience as well, and then use some of those details to show a client, well, this works here and I've had it. So
So has it helped in getting that message across?
Definitely.
And you're giving
Definitely.
you the confidence
Yep.
to use it on a project and say, don't worry, it's done. I've lived with it.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah.
And being able to show prospective clients through it as well, to like it's seeing it in person and that quality of calm that's perhaps harder to understand or experience through a still photograph. So really being able to walk through it and it's like, wow, this feels really relaxing is a perhaps unexpected to that extent experience. Seeing it in person. So but just again, it's purely everything's refined back to its absolute possible limits, which is exciting as well. So,
and I mean, there's another half to this story, and it's your wife. You've got she's also the client in this case. So was that tricky? She trusts you, of course, but some things you've got to sort of trust me, but
no. She was incredibly supportive, and very much. I'm very, very lucky that it was, she just let me do my thing. She had one request to put a bathtub in, so we put that in. She wasn't expecting a stainless steel box of a bath, but it's amazingly comfortable, surprisingly, well fortunately. So, she's incredibly, I'm very lucky. So
good.
Yeah. And also we've got two boys now, a 3-year-old boy who was 6 months when we moved in, and now we've got a 6-month-old, and so surprisingly practical as well for them. One would think with all the sharp stainless steel corners and perhaps finishes that aren't durable or whatever it may be, this isn't kid friendly. It's like the least kid friendly item in the whole house is probably a fly screen, which a child may lean on, and every house has that, so it's nothing to do with pushing boundaries. But
do you think sometimes when people might see your images online and say, oh, I'd love this, but I've got little kids and maybe it's not, they're not seeing the full picture, and then
and I think because it was certainly that balance of the home was like it's pretty pared back and everything's put away, everything has its place, but it's very functional. So just because the mess isn't visible in the photos doesn't mean it's not packed away immediately next to, there's a hidden cupboard with all the kids' toys in it. And like, why does that have to be on display and gathering dust and, a whole bunch of, trinkets and accoutrements? So we're just trying to pare it all back and have everything as its place. It's tidy. It's, so kid friendly, like depends on the kids and.
Of course. Of course.
But we're pretty lucky.
Yeah,
so.
Good. When does now I know when it comes in, but when does lighting come part of your design? What stage do you start thinking about it, and how does it influence?
From the very start. So the home is it's very much a like a private introverted house, something to bunker down in the cold months, something to stay cool in the summer, but having that experience of the house is designed to be experienced, and every corridor you look at, every window, every way you look as you're walking through the home, there's a beautiful different outlook, and that outlook looks to the garden, but also the light comes in and it mottles on the ceilings and the walls, that reflectivity. So having natural light is an incredibly emotive and important part of experiencing this home, and the design is based on how the natural light comes in, but also that's great for for 12 hours out of 24. So having the design then to ensure in throughout the evenings or morning or nighttime, having that emotion, softness, consideration we think about that early days. So from as soon as we've got a floor plan, we're already thinking, how does this space feel throughout the day and throughout the night. So we've obviously used your amazing products throughout the home. We've placed lighting in corners and hidden them instead of just having, a grid throughout the entire home, which is, a dumbed down version. But by having select location of downlights, like we only have them on 30% brightness as well, and it's still like amazingly
livable, functional.
Livable, functional, but like amazingly, like just the experience, like it feels so good at nighttime, just having some select lights on dim, and that kind of almost mood lighting, and like that lamps would create, can be achieved without, just with some consideration. Yeah. And also, if you drop an earring or whatever, it's like you can just turn them on bright and you can find whatever you've dropped. Yeah. So, yeah.
I remember doing those. We love doing a mock-up and a test, and just to make sure. And when you're playing with dark surfaces, you've got to rethink everything and make sure it's going to work.
Just on the kitchen bench top, we were exploring a few ideas. Yeah. Will this light be bright enough at this height, shining down, and the beam angle, and to be able to see if my chicken's cooked or whatever.
That's right. So I think if you go to that level of detail, you can really, really talk about paring back the whole architecture, but then even lighting and other things come into play.
Because that's probably when most of the people are, like, weekends are one thing, but like 9 to 5 on a Monday to Friday, a lot of people are out of the house, whether it's at school or work or whatever, and most of the families in the evenings together. So that's kind of when you need the house to really shine. So, no pun intended.
Love it. I love it.
So, and it's not that hard, like that time consuming to make sure that the lighting feels good. It's like, if you know what you're doing, and to explore a few calculations, it's something that it just needs a little bit of consideration to have an amazing impact.
Was there parts during the build of that place where you might have changed your mind and went, oh, I think we're going to do this now, we'll go all in on this? Or
I don't think so. No? The builder may recall otherwise. I don't think so, but it was pretty incredibly resolved from a design stage and construction drawing. I wanted to make sure that, like with all of our projects, we don't have any surprises on site, and this wasn't factored in, and you have to move this wall slightly, and then as a result it doesn't align with something else on the other side. So I don't think there was many surprises. Mm-hmm. We did add a freestanding guest house. So that's probably the only surprise, but that was halfway through construction and during COVID, which wasn't great, but so that's probably the biggest surprise. But with the house, the design, no, I don't think anything changed. Yeah. So.
And non-negotiables on materials, you had, this is it, this is what I'm using, that was it.
Yeah.
No questions asked.
Yep.
Yeah. So Venetian, Venetian?
Yeah.
So and
a combination of micro cement and marmarino, depending on if it's a wet area or a high traffic area or wherever, or a ceiling. So making sure they look identical so you don't notice that transition.
Yeah, okay.
That can then blend seamlessly from inside to outside. Again, it can be on a passage door, on a shower wall, on a shower floor, on a splashback.
Yeah.
So
and stainless steel.
Stainless steel, a lot of stainless steel, and having a stainless, so it's quite monolithic forms with the stainless steel, and again playing around with the materiality of that and the softness. So we got almost just a scouring pad from a sponge, and just to create this mottled kind of natural cloudy effect, as opposed to something that's too linished and sharp lines and a bit too sterile, perhaps.
Yep.
And almost impractical. Like stainless steel, often people say that, it looks amazing day one, and then you put a glass on it or ceramic and it scratches. Sure. I haven't touched mine in 3 years, and you can't, there's no kind of scratches. And if there is, you just buff it out in 2 seconds if you wanted to, but you don't see them, which is fantastic. So it's got this beautiful softness and still functional quality.
What detail, or now it's done and you get to see the final product, you get to live in it, is it just like I can't believe it, like it's exactly what I had imagined, and it's, it looks very, very true to your renders and things we saw, so I think you must be pretty happy with the outcome, right?
Yeah, it's still really lovely. I mean, the garden, so it was an completely empty site, terrible soils, all just kind of clay and debris, almost like from a rubbish site from next door. There was one single tree on the whole site, so we planted, 1,000 or 2 trees and bushes and things, so it's just getting better as it's maturing, and that garden just growing and growing. So, but the house just keeps getting better, and the family loves it, and boys just love running around on half an acre of grass and digging and planting with me, and
Very good. Where do you draw your inspiration from?
Inspiration is all around us, James. It depends. Like everywhere, I suppose. It's Pinterest, Instagram. They're great resources. I suppose a lot of Western European architecture styles are something probably we're more aligned with. A lot of kind of architects out of Belgium have a similar alignment to what we do. So, but it's really just as I'm feeling over the months, that kind of let's kind of evolve from a bit more stone to a bit more concrete, a little bit more stronger forms or curves, or it's just kind of going with the flow of how I feel, and that changes throughout the year. And there's no huge research into what trends or anyone else is doing, so just kind of vibe in it.
So there's a bit more intuitive design.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I'm feeling in the mood to do something a bit more in this particular direction, then we do a few more in that way and see how they that gels with the client's aesthetic, and but it's just evolving. I don't want to get stagnant with again, this is we're doing this aesthetic and we're doing this for 10 years. It's wanting to keep exploring and creating and evolving. And
you're running the business and doing all these other jobs in the company. You still got a heavy hand on design always, with the team. Yeah.
So I'll always start the design from day one. I'll do all the concepts and the floor plans, and then obviously we have the project architects involved in that process, and then I'll always be kind of overseeing things to make sure that end result still has that quality assurance, I suppose. So we take a lot of pride in the concept that we present to a client, and the 3Ds that we do early days identically match the finished work. It's not photoshopped, it's not compromised. And having that almost overseeing role throughout the design or documentation and build, it's quality assurance, but two, it's enjoying it. Like, this is amazing. This just keeps this detail is built exactly as we designed it. How fun is this? How great is this? How rewarding is that? So we do it for our clients, and I do it for myself to have that design overseeing and input and direction.
What excites you about the future direction of architecture in Australia?
In Australia, no idea. We don't really look at what the industry is doing, what the trends are doing, what other architects are doing. I just stick to my lane and do my thing and what I enjoy. So what I'm looking forward to our practice doing is, I suppose it's exciting to do more international projects. Yep. More, that in itself is amazing. So, but we've got, we have different projects of different budgets. I love doing the smaller ones still. It's not something that we're just going to keep going bigger only. But obviously, as we're progressing, we are going into bigger projects, which has its other benefits of more creativity and freedoms with being able to do designs that perhaps a smaller budget wouldn't have been able to accommodate and incorporate. So, yeah, just nothing really. Just being able to have an outlet for more creativity and more projects is just something I love to be able to look forward to and continue doing. So, yeah.
Talking about budgets, it's a conversation. It's tricky, right? Because people might not know what something costs. Mm-hmm. Look at a job. How quickly is that confirmed with you and say, hey, you want to do this, but it's going to cost this much?
Yep.
Is it a surprise to people? Do they know what they're in for?
We like having those discussions from the start. Day one, it shouldn't be a taboo topic. It should be like the last thing we want to do is say, right, we've finished design, finished documentation, we've priced it, you've paid all of our fees, and it's come in $2 million over budget. It's like, what do I do now? It's like, don't build your kitchen and your garage. It's like, well, I need those things. So it's kind of too late. And then kind of saying, well, pay us to, redesign. That's not right. So we want to ensure that we understand the client's budget from day one, and we need to find out whether their budget aligns with their brief, which often it doesn't. So it's just having that conversation from the start, getting builders involved from the start and saying, well, you might want to adjust one or the other or both to make sure that works. But the sooner we know, like we always design to the client's requirements, it's just making sure that if that budget brief doesn't align, they know from that at an early stage. And as well, the last thing we want to say is, again, like, oh no, we can definitely do this for your budget. So they sign up and then, costs a lot more later. Like that's not fair. So I'd rather not get the job than to kind of cheat a client into saying that's we can do it for that and then disappoint them later.
Sure.
Once they've spent all this money, it's like, cool, I've got all these drawings and I can't do anything with it.
Yeah.
So we don't want to do that.
Is there a dream project that you've hit the international in New York. I mean, that's amazing. Mm-hmm. Is there something that you just want, I'd love to do that?
I don't think so. No, it's just, I think, no, it's just, we've got amazing clients who let us do what we do, and they, we wow them from the start, and then, they, that creativity, freedom of creativity is just, wow, you know what you're doing, keep going. But no, nothing. I think just, I love doing houses, that personalization, that attention to detail is just so rewarding. So again, I suppose an international project or opportunities with different materials or details or budgets will have, well, we can try this now, which we've been wanting to do for a little while, or so.
Yeah. How do you see materials, sustainability, and even AI coming into the future of architecture?
There's a few questions in that.
Sorry, let's start with sustainability and how that's
really important. And so all of our homes are, we need to, in today's climate, we need to ensure that we're using the right materials, the energy efficiency of our house, the sustainability is obviously paramount. The longevity of the home, so making sure that the quality of the home stands for 50 years, 100 years, whatever it may be. We don't want to do something that's got a cheaper material perhaps, but the house falls apart in 6 years, 10 years, and you have to demolish it. So that's hugely important to us, having that quality and craftsmanship. And then AI, I think you mentioned.
Yeah, so how's that?
We don't really use it.
Yeah.
I know there are practices that use it for documentation or detailing or designs. But for us, it's like design-wise, I have no idea why you would, if you love architecture and creating, why you would take, like, the whole reason to start a practice for me was to be able to create and design. I've gotten to this point of working for 20 years. Why would I want to give that up? So I don't understand that. The documentation is obviously just it's rewarding in itself as well from a kind of problem-solving perspective.
Yeah, okay.
And that ensuring that alignment with the initial design as well is maintained. So the odd text and things we may check on AI or things, but nothing really design-wise or doc-wise. We haven't touched. And
maybe some heavy lifting at the back end where you're not really. You don't need to physically do it or be across it, but I could imagine, documenting a project, you need to be across every little detail. So that's...
There's a lot of a lot of practices that outsource it. So I'm sure it could be done, and that may happen in the future. I don't know, but at the moment we don't need to. So so why would we?
Good. Yeah. Mm-hmm. What does success look like for you, not just professionally but personally as well?
Getting deep, James. Success is professionally being able to obviously do what you love doing. Like, isn't that what it's all about? It's we have this amazing. We're so fortunate to, our office and myself particularly feeling this way, is to be able to do exactly what I want from a design perspective, from a creativity, from love the job you have and you never work a day in your life. Like, that's success. Like, I love what I do. So professionally, that's it. And privately, being able to spend time with the family as much as possible, and it's just that balance. So yeah, we're incredibly lucky in that way. So I feel I am. So yeah.
Well done. A couple of these off-the-cuff questions, mate.
Yeah.
Are you? Is there a project that you turned down and glad you did? That you can talk about?
None that come to mind. Like, I wouldn't talk specifics about any of them. None that come to mind. I'm sure there's been a raft of clients that have called or asked or we've spoken to that we just said, look, this isn't right for us, and like we do just move on. We don't I don't dwell on it or anything like that. So if a client their first question is not aligned with what we do, then, or it's a generic mass email, then you're not after us specifically. You're after anyone who's probably just the cheapest and can do or just drafting for you. Like, so yeah, we've turned down. Like, yeah, that's important. The ones you take on are just as important as the ones you don't.
Yeah, absolutely.
On, so.
Absolutely. If you weren't an architect, what would you be?
Easy, full-time dad.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I would spend every day with my wife and 2 boys and would love every minute of it.
Yeah.
So it's challenging, obviously, splitting that time between work and family, but the more I could do that, that would be incredible. So
it's a good answer, mate. It's a great answer. For young architects today who wanted to start their own practice, might be listening to this, what's some advice you'd give, or even to your younger self, 10 years ago?
Younger self would be probably not be so risk averse and kind of maybe take the punt a bit earlier. But that being said, had I done that, there might have been a bigger problem or bigger issues. So like you can't, like there's no, I'm sure there's, negative possibilities with things like that. And I suppose with younger architects as well, it's just, hang in there, I guess, and do what you love. And, it's an incredibly challenging process starting up your own practice and it's incredibly slow in the architecture industry. It's not something where you can meet a client, do a design, and you've, it's within 2 months, like perhaps a different industry, where you can have a finished project so quickly. But architecture, it's a year of design, it's often a year of build, so at least from sign up to build, you're minimum 2 years. Then you maybe wait, could be 3, could be 4, and then you're waiting another year to market it. And then that's a 4-year process, and then once you've marketed that, you maybe go, slowly, growing from a budget and, capability perspective. So
it's a long time.
It's a long time. So it does take a long time, and it's incredibly risky as well. It's not like I don't know what the ratio is, but I'm sure there's a huge proportion of practices and businesses that have not been able to succeed and have had to close after a year or 3. So it's just hanging in there, I guess, and sticking to your guns and pushing through all the challenging times, which there are a lot of.
Yeah.
So, and get a good network to be able to bounce ideas and get some support from a good support network. So whether it's just someone else in your field, whether we've had a lot of kind of graduates that I've mentored over the years, just to be able to assist them with their thought process or what they may want to pursue. So I've always helped in that way, or enjoyed helping in that way. So
you're going to get a lot of DMs, mate, after this.
Hopefully.
Hey, Adam, you said you'd help.
Yeah. Well, why not?
Yeah, good on you. Yeah. And mate, final question is: if you design a space that evokes the same feeling every time someone walks into it, what is the feeling?
Calm. Definitely calm. Just that restraint, that calm, comfort, that this space just feels beautifully resolved, and like that holistic feeling of, wow, that just, it may be restrained, but it's just, you can tell it's perfectly refined and considered, and there's just something quietly amazing about it, is something that we really strive for. And particularly every time a project's finished, I just love that feeling of walking through it in silence myself and just having that moment of appreciating it. So that's what we do for ourselves and for our clients. And
is that one of the biggest rewards, mate, when the client walks through at the end and they've trusted you and they finally get to move in and they don't know what it is, but they just feel that calm, they feel home already.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. You nailed it.
Yeah. And it's all to do with lighting, of course.
all to do. Mostly, yeah. Not much to do. Like, my job's easy. It's put a few lights in and anyway. No.
Well, Adam, thanks so much.
Cool.
We've worked together for many, many years,
Many years,
and let's continue that.
Sounds good.
Mate, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks so much, James.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.
What's up?
Thank you.